Farika, She Who Conquers Herself, is a novel that shines the spotlight on mental health and overcoming anxiety. Inspired by true events, this book contains ordinary characters that have gone through mental breakdowns and go on to believe that they are meaningless, hopeless, helplessness, and useless until they realize that they were the light in their own darkness. This book's author, Sibusiso Ndzalama, joins us now in studio to tell us more about this latest read. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you too. Thank you for having me.
So great to have you. I mean, give us a brief outline of the book and its inspiration. Outline what the book is about for us.
Okay, so the book is about mental health. It's about anxiety conquering. So I was in a position where I had a lot of anxiety. So I was like, okay, let me just write something that's going to help people, because in my pain, I found my purpose. So I was like, okay, since I'm struggling with anxiety and compulsive thoughts, I'm just going to write something that's going to help people overcome the same thing in the same way. So that's basically it.
How did you know that you were suffering from anxiety?
There were signs, you know. Every time when I would wake up in the morning, my mind would just go back to the past, and I would feel this feeling every time. It's compulsive. You can't even control it. So you have thoughts that are compulsive and emotions that are compulsive. So that was how I was able to understand and detect myself that I had anxiety.
Speak to us about this character, Farika, and her anxiety. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Farika is a character that I created. She's a young girl who was raised by a strict mother. So what happened is that she would be in the house every day. Her mother would forbid her to exit the house, and because she didn't want her daughter to be programmed by outside influences. So what happened is that she forbade her from living in the house, only to realize that everything that she was trying to avoid was actually inside the house and at school. So her teachers and her mother became triggers that sustained her anxiety, and that's basically it.
I mean, speak to us about some of the true events and stories that you share in the book.
Yeah, it's anxiety, because we have a lot of people who are facing these things. At school, we have anxiety, and in the curriculum of education, we have that, and just life itself. Ever since the pandemic, everybody doesn't have this optimistic view about the future. It's just about pessimism and all of that. So that's basically it.
Yeah. You mentioned as well, but before we even go there, let me start about the characters in the book. Tell us a little bit about other characters apart from Farika.
Okay, so we have Farika. So I used countries' names, and then I changed them to people's names. So in Lesotho, I changed it to Lutheso. Botswana, I changed it to Watavban. Tanzania, I changed it to Nazevtan. And Sudan, I changed it to Dusan. So it's more like I'm creating this social cohesion thing, because we're living in a world where we are separated. It's not like everything's just dictated. So I was just trying to foster that, you know, social cohesion thing. So Farika meets, she meets these characters who have the same thing as her. So the common thing that connects them together is this anxiety thing that everybody needs to conquer. So that's basically it.
Talk to us about how you were a victim of your own unhealthy and mental, instability. How did that, stop you from achieving your goals?
Yeah, every day on a daily basis, I was always inside my head. So I was not mindful of what's happening around me. Every day when I would wake up or be in my head, my mind would literally remind me of the things that I think about. Because sometimes you just realize that you're missing out on reality because you're too much in yourself. So I was not really able to live a normal life. I could not even achieve my goals because I was always in my head. So I got into a position where I was like, okay, I think I need to get out of me and actually explore the world around me. And then that's basically it.
How did you overcome that, though?
I used the technique. It was used in the 19th century by a French psychologist called Emile Coué.
Right.
So it's auto-suggestion. It's when you are repeating the same thing over and over again. And then I also use mental imagery. It's when you're simulating an experience. Because according to the nervous system, there's no difference between what you're imagining and what is actually happening. So you use mental imagery to actually sustain something, because there are two ways a person can actually make a connection in the mind. One, it's an experience. Two, information. So if you can repeat the same thing over and over again, it's encoded as a memory, as if it happened. It doesn't really have to happen, but it's encoded as a memory. So that's basically it.
Give us an example of what? So I should be imagining what, for instance, if I'm trying to get out of my head?
Okay, let's say there's something that excites you and you know about it, and you don't just say, I'm excited, but you remember the thing that triggers the excitement,
right,
as if it's happening now. Let's just say I'm coming here. I'm going to say, I'm looking forward to being on Morning Live.
Yeah.
Already I'm there, it's happening in my mind, but then it's not really there. But then what's happening is that it's encoded as a real experience. That's basically it.
What has been the response to the book?
Oh, it's been trending ever since I published it. I published it on the 7th of February, and it's actually worldwide, it's been trending. And now I'm literally an international author because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's talking about it. It's more like they're opening up about their problems and stuff like that. I'm just trying to show everybody that they're not really alone. We are all together in this whole thing.
I mean, you say you've written the book on a philosophy to be, solution to people's daily mental problems. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm more into Nobel Prize laureates, because they have this perception and belief system that they are the solution to people's problems. So I was like, okay, this is something that I have to covet. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be that too, because I was suffering from anxiety as well. I was like, if I don't have the insight, I think I'd be dead right now. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to get information on how everybody could actually help themselves. So it's like, okay, I found a gap. It's like, oh, this is a loop. And it's like, okay, what's going to happen is that I'm going to record every insight, every experience, every experiment, and I'll document it down or write it down, and then I'll make it a book. That is how I'm going to be the solution to people's problems.
Yeah. What lessons came with writing this book?
Well, I got to learn so much about the activities that happen in my mind, and I also got to learn that we're not really different, because you may be white, you may be blue, you may be Indian, but the activities that happen in the mind are really the same. You can take your mind and my mind and we put them here. Everything that's happening is similar. So these are the lessons that I've actually learned from this book.
Yeah, and you say you've seen people open up about their mental struggles as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm getting texts from people like, yo, I'm Farika. This one says, I'm Farika. It's like, oh, wow. And everybody's just telling me that I have pessimism, I have anxiety, I have panic attacks. Oh, I thought I was alone in this. I used to cry. I wanted to kill something in me, but I realized that I had to kill it with me. So it's like, no, you don't really have to kill that thing. You can renew your mind. It happens. It's possible. With neuroplasticity, you can actually renew your mind on a daily basis. Just like the Bible, it emphasizes that on a daily basis, you can renew your mind with the Word of God. So with neuroplasticity, it's still the same thing. You don't have to be at the mercy of your troublesome mind. You can actually change it.
All right, Sibusiso, thank you so much for talking to us.
And thank you for
congratulations
having me.
on the book, Sibusiso Ndzalama, and we're just in conversation with him about his latest novel titled Farika, She Who Conquers Herself.